Hang on.
No, we're on overhead. I think today's too.
Okay.
I'll go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, good morning, everybody. We are in Daf Nun Beis Amud Aleph. We left off over here. We were in the new parak of Bamet Behema Yaitzin, I believe it's called, right? What can the animal go out with in terms of what is worn as part of the animal, something that is not extra, right? And something that is used to control the animal is not considered extra, right? Obviously, putting a package on it would be considered extra, but something to use to control. So we had questions of what was used to control, what wasn't, and if it was extra control, if something was unnecessary, is that considered to be carrying or not? So 4 lines in the top. Tana de bein menashia eis shechakak ben karneha yaitze be'afsar b'Shabbos. So a goat that they drilled holes. Right, they drilled holes, between its horns, right, to put some sort of afsar in between, right, in order some sort of halter or something for the owner to hold on, and is allowed to go on in Shabbos. In other words, it stays in because they basically drilled holes in, and now it's able to stay there. So therefore, it can go out of that in Shabbos. It's not considered to be carried. It's used to control the animal. So, Bayer of Yosef, 5 lines on the top. What about if they go ahead and they basically put it in the billy goat's beard, right? They put the halter in the billy goat's beard. Mahu, what's halacha there? Came in the mintach la kaivle la'asil sucha. Now the issue is that perhaps it can go ahead and shake off. It's not drilled into the holes, right? It's basically tied in or tucked into the beard. Now, since it's painful to go ahead and pull it out, so therefore, the animal won't come yank it out. Now, the issue is, if it does come out, then perhaps the owner will come pick it up and carry it in Dalad Avos and Rosh Hashanah. So therefore, they prohibited to go ahead and to put it in. So now the question is, if it's painful in the beard, perhaps it will remain in, and the animal won't allow it to come out, and therefore the owner will not come to carry. Therefore, it would be okay. Or perhaps sometimes maybe the goat will go ahead and shake it off, and therefore the owner might pick it up and carry it 4 amos and shus rabim and take it. So the Gemara does not give an answer. Take it. So Tanan Hosman over there, v'loy b'rutzu shebein karnel. So it says, and also not with a rutzua strap between its horns. Now Omar, Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. So pligi says Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba. So pligi bar Rav Shmuel. Machlok is Rav Shmuel. Chad Omar bein lenoy bein l'shamer aser. One says whether the strap between the horns, whether it's for decoration, right? They want to go ahead and put up a nice, ornament or something on the animal to make it look nice, right? Bein l'shamer, or whether it's used to secure the animal, to control the animal is aser. As you can never have it on the horns. The Chad Omar, and the other one says lenoi aser. If it's just for decoration or to go ahead and make it look nice, then it's aser. However, the shamer, but it's used to go ahead and control the animal, then it is mutter. So something used for shmira would be mutter according to one opinion. So Amar Rav Yosef. So who's it? So it says it was Rav and Shmuel said this. So the question is, which one did Rav say? Which one did Shmuel say? So Amar Rav Yosef says Rav Yosef. The same the Shmuel who Amar lenoi aser l'shar mutter. Let's say that it's more logical to say that Shmuel was the one who said that if it was used for controlling the animal, then it's mutter. Why? Because we just saw earlier the halakha is a chananya. So we had earlier that an animal, right, with its extra shmira, that an animal, if really you don't need it to control it so much, and even though you have extra precautions in terms of what type of security, is attached to the animal, that is okay. Because since it's for the sake of guarding the animal, even though it's extra guarding, it's still mutter to go ahead. So that was what Chananya said, and Shmuel says it's a Chananya. So therefore, despite the fact that it was for shmira, which is maybe not necessarily needed for this animal, nevertheless we say it was mutter. So therefore, it's more logical to say that Shmuel was one who says halakha like Chananya. So Abaye says no, Adrabah, opposite. This time the Shmuel Damar Ben Lenoy Ben L'Shamer served. No, let's say Shmuel was the other one. Shmuel was the one who says even if it was for shmira, even if it's for decoration or for guarding the animal, turn the light, or for the animal, then it's aser. Why? Why would you say Shmuel said it both ways is aser? The Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Machlifin lifnei Rebbe shel zu b'zu maho. So we had the question yesterday of, let's say, because our Mishnah listed different animals. The Mishnah says, a camel goes out with, like the halter around the head, and one of them goes with a nose ring, right, with the nose one. The nose one is more secure, right, because it's for wilder animals. That was for the female donkey. So the question is, let's say you switch it. Let's say you have the one that's used for the wild female donkey on a regular tame donkey. What is halacha there? So they ask, what happens if you switch it? And it says over there, and Amar Lefanov, he said, Rabbi Shlomo Rabbi Yosi, Kach Amar. Abba, so he said, Rabbi Shlomo Rabbi Yosi says, Kach Amar. Abba, so his father said, Rabbi Yosi says, Arba behemos yotzes be'afsar, hasusa parba gama v'chamor. 4 animals can go out with a with this with only the with an afsar, with the halter, right? And hasusa parva gama v'chamor, right? The horse, the mule, the camel, the donkey. So lal mute gama v'chato. It sounds like over there, only these go out with an altar, they don't go out with anything else. So in other words, a camel, right, does not go out even with a nose ring, even though the nose ring is extra security. So you see that this was said over there. And since so Shmuel was the one who reported that extra security, right, is not able to go ahead and be carried. So he knows only because a camel can only go out with a halter and not go out with a nose ring, right, to secure it. So you see that Shmuel holds that no, even if it's for extra shmira, it's usr. So Gemara says no, sami ha mikmeha. No, okay, so delete that one for this one. So Gemara says my chasis the misameis ha makmeha, right? Why should we erase the first one we learned for the second one? Perhaps misameis ha makmeha sami ha makmeha. Maybe let's delete the second version for the first version. So how do you know which way is Shmuel, right? This is Gimel, right? So we say over here, so my haviola. So the Gemara says, okay, so what is this? Itmar, it was said, Rav Chia Barashi, Amar Rav, Bain, so it says, it was quoted the name of Rav. So now we hear this, we know what Rav said. Bain Lanoi, Bain L'Shamar, Asr. Right? So he says that Rav says, whether it's for decoration or whether it's for Shmira, it's Asr. So you see over there that according to Rav, right, he was the one who says it's Asr. Rav Chia Rav and Amar Shmuel Lanoi Asr L'Shamar Mutter. And then it was said, then Shmuel said, Shmir is mutter. So we see clearly that Shmuel was the one who said that for extra security, it would be mutter to go ahead for the animal to go ahead and wear it out into the public. And according to Rav, if it was not needed, if it was extra security, then it would be extra. And therefore, since it's extra, it would be considered to be carrying, the animal will be caring for the owner, and it's just Rav. So Meisvei asks you kasha, it says, Ksharam Balel. Now it says over there, if the owner goes ahead, and we're talking about a paraduma. If the owner of a paraduma and he ties on it a leash, right? It's kshera. It's mutter to go ahead. In other words, what is it? It's mutter. That we have halacha by paraduma. That the paradumas, which is used, the red heifer is used to remove tumas mace. Right, times the base of mikdash, they'd offer the paraduma, and they use the ashes from the red cow, and so there's special halachas that came to the red heifer, and one of which was it was not allowed to do any work. It cannot have a yoke upon the animal, and not only yoke, but any sort of carrying. It cannot carry any sort of burden. So the question is, right, we're talking about carrying burdens out in Rosh Hashanah. So also, similarly, carrying a leash, right? A leash, we says carrying Rosh Hashanah. So too, if the paraduma would carry a leash, it'd be problematic. So you see over here, so you're allowed to go ahead and have it carry a leash. Now, a cow does not need a leash to go, right? Can be controlled without it. So he was allowed to go ahead and tie it. Now, and if you think that having an extra leash on is considered to be a masui, as we just said, it says over there, that which you did not have a yoke upon the animal. So it's considered to be carrying. So that's what the Torah says. Samar Abaye says no. I'll give you a reason. What's the reason why this is not, even though it had a leash on it, it's mutter. So earlier, since he's going from city to city, he's going to travel, basically to bring the paraduma, let's say to Yerushalayim or whatever it was. So therefore, this was normal to go ahead and ear the ear to go ahead and take a cow, and therefore it's not considered to be extra. It was used for shmira. And Rav Amar similarly, shani para to damel yikar. No, paraduma is very expensive. Therefore, it's normal to have something which is so expensive to go ahead and have extra security for it, to have a leash on it. So therefore, it makes sense. It's not considered to be extra. And Ravina Amar and Ravina says, Marida, or we're talking about the paradum was a little wild since the cow was a little bit wild, so therefore it was normal to go ahead and have a wild cow to go ahead and have a leash on it. Fine. Then the Mishnah says Hasus Bashir, right? So our Mishnah says, if you go back to the Mishnah Nun Aleph from base, it says over there the Sus Bashir, right? So it says over there you're allowed to have a horse, right, with his collar. V'chol bali ashir yaitzin b'shir v'nimshachin b'shir. And any animals that have a leash, right, yaitzin b'shir, they go out with the leash v'nimshachin, and like pulled with the shear. So what's going on here? So Gordon needs to know what's going on. So my yaitzin and my nimshachin. What is this yaitzin? It sounds like two different lashonos, two different things going on here. What does it mean? Yaitzin, they can go out and they can be pulled, right? What's going on here? So Amar Rav Huna, o yaitzin kruchin, o nimshachin. Says Rav Huna, so either they can go out, o yaitzin kruchin, o nimshachin. So yaitzin kruchin, as Rashi explains, where it's wrapped, right? Where it's when it's wrapped around its neck, right? It's wrapped around. The leash is really wrapped around its neck. It's not necessarily usable, right? There's no space for him to hold it, and therefore it's more like wrapped around his neck. It's not even usable. So despite the fact that it's not usable, perhaps it's in the category of noi. Nevertheless, it's allowed to go out, or nimshachin, or it's allowed to be pulled. In other words, if the leash is usable, if the collar is usable, right, then it's mutter to go ahead and pull it. So that was the first opinion. And Shmuel Amar, yaitzin and nimshachin ve'ein yaitzin kruchin. No, it can only go out if it has the ability to go ahead and pull it. If there's loose space in between, you can go ahead and pull the collar. But if it's wrapped, sort of tightly around the neck, therefore, since it's not usable, and since it's not usable, therefore, one, according to Shmuel, it would not be able to go out like that. And I see Satana, yaitzin kruchin limashech. And so it was taught. Right?
There's a picture.
Okay, there's a with the collar, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Case. I can't see that in terms of the picture. Which cases? I don't know which that's going on.
That's the kruchim. That's with the loose space.
No, I understand, but I'm saying is right. So that will be a case of what's it called? Of nimshachim, where it's able to be pulled. Now,
right.
Amar Rav Yosef. So says Rav Yosef. Chazin. Excuse me. I just skip that part. It says yaitzin kruchin limashech. It says no. Kruchin limashech. In other words, it has to have the ability to go ahead and slip your hand in there. It has to be usable, right? If the animal tries to get away, you're able to go ahead and slip your hand between the collar and the animal and control the animal. So notice if you have that, then it's able to go out. Otherwise, you can't go ahead and have the animal go out there because it's carrying. And Amar Rav Yosef Chazina Lahu Igla de Rav Huna Yaitzim Be'afsri Hen Kruchim Shabbos. So it says Rav Yosef, I saw Chiddush, right? I saw the calves of the house of Rav Huna. They used to go out with their collars, right, wrapped tightly, kruchin, right, b'Shabbos, wrapped around tightly, right, on Shabbos. So since it's wrapped around tightly, despite the fact that you couldn't get in, it was mutter to go ahead and for the animals to go out. And Kiyasa Rav Dimi Amar Rav Chanina, and Rav Dimi came, he had another story to report. So Amar Rav Chanina, Malois Shel Beis Rebbe, Yaitzeis Parafasei and B'Shabbos. The mules of the house of Rebbe, they used to go out with their collars on Shabbos. So now, we have a machlokes here as to whether the collars are loosely on or tightly on. If it's loosely on, everyone holds it's mutter because it's usable. The question is, if it's tight, if it's wrapped around where you don't have the ability to grab it and control the animal, are you allowed to take that out? So now this Maisa that Rav Dini was reporting about the house of Rebbe, it says they went out with their collars on Shabbos. So the question is asked, Kruchin and Amshachim. So what are you reporting? Are you reporting that they're only allowed to go out if it was loosely on, or are you even reporting that the Chiddush, that despite the fact that they were tightly on, they were able to go out on Shabbos? So Toshma, come and listen. Kiyasa Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda Amar Rav Chanina Moshe Beis Rebbe Yaitzeis Rav saying Kruchim b'Shabbos. So he says no. When they went out, when they were there on Shabbos, right? They were wrapped, right? They were wrapped around their necks tightly on Shabbos. So it was reported by Reb Chanina, right? So that it was the mules of Beis Rebbe did go out when they were wrapped tightly around on Shabbos, despite the fact they weren't usable. So Amar Rabbani Kamei Rav Asi, they said first Rav Asi. So Had Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda. That which you just reported from Shmuel Bar Yehuda, you don't need it. Why? Actually, we learned it from Rav Dimi. Why? Because if you think that Rav Dimi said, no, that which he reported, right? The animals went out. In other words, and he was just telling us that the animals went out and they were loosely out. They're only with the ability to pull, right? These are going to Rav Shachin Kamar. That we can learn from Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Why? What did Rav Yehuda Shmuel say? Rav Yehuda Shmuel. So it says, Machlifin ayu lefanav Rebbe shel zubazu. So when they asked the question, which you brought earlier today, right? Of if you go ahead and you switch around the types of gear. In other words, you take a camel, which is usually pretty tame, and you have that go ahead and wear the nose, right, which is extra secure. What's the halach in that case? And what did he answer there? And he answered, Rabbi Shlomo Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Shlomo Rabbi Yossi said, Kachamar Abba, this is what my father Rabbi Yossi said, Arba behemos yaitz b'afsar. Only 4 animals can go out with the altar. Hasus v'parad v'gama v'chamor. Right? The sus, parad, gama, chamor. So we see over here, and that was the answer in this case. So we see over here, what are one of the answers they're talking about, right? Is a parad, right? Is a mule. So he says that they're beferish that a mule can go out, right, with dafka with the afsaran, right, and which was this case over here. So since he says his aid and he didn't answer, right, Rebbe didn't respond. So obviously Rebbe held, right, like this ruling, and since he held like this ruling, so we see that that you're allowed to go. That it was only with this case when it was even if it was tightly around, he's allowed to always go out with it. So Rabbi Yossi, he says no. We need both cases. Even Rabbi Yehuda nafka, if it was from that which Rabbi Yehuda reported, in other words, that which Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda reported, right? Havamina, I would have thought Amar lefanav lo kibla minei. Maybe it could be that which Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yossi answered to Rabbi. Maybe Rabbi didn't listen. Maybe Rabbi held that something which was extra, right? In other words, then he didn't agree to that answer. In other words, we have no proof that Rebbe, that was the end of the brisa. But maybe he disagreed with the answer. It wouldn't apply. So Kamash Malan, the Rav Dimi. Therefore, Rav Dimi says, no, even in the case of where it's also tightly on, not only loose, but it's tight. Therefore, we have both cases to teach us that not only that Rebbe allowed the mules to go out with a loosely collar, but even if it was a wide collar, then it would be mutter. Either Rabbi Dimi, if it would just have the case of Rabbi Dimi reported Ma'aseh Havamina Hani Milim Shachim, maybe I would only thought that the only way that Rebbe would have let the animals out is dafka if it was loose and it was pullable. But if they were wrapped tightly around the neck, then lo Kamash Malan. Rabbi Shmuel bar Yehuda. Therefore, it says Rabbi Yehuda to teach us that even in that case, that even if it's tightly around, therefore it would be permitted to go out anyway. So it comes out that according to Rebbe, as reported by the 2 sources, that he allowed his mules to go out on Shabbos with a collar around the neck that was wrapped around the neck that was not really usable. And despite the fact that it was usable, since it is a collar in nature, therefore it's not considered to be carrying, and it would be allowed to go on Shabbos. Fine. Now, next part, change gears. So we said at the end of the Mishnah, Mazin alet v'taylim kama. We said over there that if the collar or the ring, we'll soon see, become tameh, so then it's now one has to go ahead and sprinkle it or be toivel it depending on the type of tuma, and you don't have to move from the animal. If it's with the animal, it's okay. It's okay. It's not considered. It's considered to be you're allowed to leave it in its place. So Gemara's gonna ask. So l'meimra d'mei kibuli ninu. So you're gonna tell me that they're susceptible to tuma. I've got time with the Mishnah. Tabas Adam Timei Tabas Behem of a Caleb Sharkol Tavois Taharos. So now the collars used to have basically the rope that was used to control the animal was not necessarily attached to the collar. The collar had a ring to it. And on the ring was, the rope was attached. So the rope was attached to the ring to the collar. So now we're talking about this ring that was on the collar. So, and a ring could also be used on someone's hand. So now the question is like this. So what do you mean you're able to go ahead and be metaher the ring? How could the ring become tummy in the first place? It says over here only the ring of a person. So it says, however, a ring for animals or other utensils, those are Torah. Those are not susceptible to tuma. So how could you do it in the first place? So now 2 answers. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, So maybe one case it was transferred, right? The guy had a nice ring. He had his wedding ring, right? His wife left him, and he says, you know what? I'm going to use my wedding ring for my animal, right? He's going to give it to his animal, right? That's what she's worth, right? So the ring went from once upon a time being used by a man for a person and went to an animal. So therefore, since it was a ring in the first place with an Adam, therefore it's still susceptible to tumah. Rav Yosef Amar Hoyav Adam Meishich Behem as a behema. Right? Since it's the ring, despite the fact that it's hanging from the animal, who's using it? The man is using it, right? A human's using it to control the animal, right? Milatan, we now learn another case. Right? A staff used for an animal, it was a guy, a shepherd or something used a staff, it's made of metal. Makabel tuma, it's makabel tuma. It is settled to tuma. Why? Matam. What's the reason? It's an animal. No. Since it's the shepherd who uses it. So since the shepherd who uses it, so therefore it's considered to be a kli of a person. It's not for the animal, it's for the person. So over here, since the guy uses the ring, therefore the ring is settled to tumah. And then we say, you can also be had and toivel it in its place. You don't have to remove it to be toivel, to put it in the mikvah. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? It's a chatzitza, right? We know that when something goes in the mikvah, whether it's a person or an item, that if there is something attached to it, right, that has to be removed, or let's say it's holding on or connected to something, and water can't get in between those two things, so therefore it's not considered to be submerged in the water, and therefore it would still be tamei. So how could you say it's attached? There's no, the ring is attached to the collar. So Amar Avami b'sharitzcha. We're talking about a case of where basically he smashed it out. He smashed out the ring to make more room. Since he smashed out the ring, therefore now there was the ability for the water to get in between the collar and the ring to make it mutter. So Lema Rab Ami, Rab Yosef Sirle. Let's say Rab Ami. So we just had a question before. How could the ring be settled to tumah? So one teretz was it used to belong to a person, and the other one says no. Even though it's on the animal, since it's used for a person, it's like for a person. So he must go like the second way, like Rav Yosef. Why? If he held like Rabbi Yitzchak, that it came from a man and it went down to an animal. Since we said, he smashed it out to make more space, right? That's what we just said. So if you smash it out, you actually lose the status of what was earlier. Because we say over here that a person does a maisa, right? He smashed out, he does a maisa to this kli, right? He did a maisa, and therefore it should no longer be a kli. It's like a new object, and now it's a new object. New object is the ring that belongs to the animal. It's no longer his wedding ring. Once he smashed it, it's no longer what it was. What is it now? It's used for an animal. So therefore, it's an animal ring, and animal rings aren't tummy. The time we learned in the Mishnah, call kalim yoydin leitu masam machshava. Vein oilim it wasn't elbishun maisa. Any kalim become tummy. In other words, let's say an item was done, it's the middle of halfway being done, and the person decides, you know what? I'm not going to finish the kli. It's going to be used for something else as it is. It becomes tamei with just machshava. But once it becomes susceptible to tumah, you can't just say, I'm going to use it for something else, and therefore it's not in this finished stage. That doesn't work. The only way to remove the tumah is to do a shinoi maisa, to do an action. So by him smashing the ring on the collar is a shinoi maisa, and now it should become an animal ring and no longer a human ring. And if it's an animal ring, it should not be makabel tumah. The Gemara says, no, several like Rabbi Yehuda. He says, no, we must hold like Rabbi Yehuda. The Omar, Maisa l'saki lav maisu. That if you're doing a maisa to the ring, which actually fixes the ring, that's not called a maisa, right? The title of the Braisa, Rabbi Yehuda Amir, loy amar shinu maisa l'saki el l'kalka. That which we said, a maisa can only remove the tumah, it's only if it's a destructive type of maisa. Something which ruins it, now it's no longer a kli. But if it's to improve it, like to go ahead and smash it out to make it more space, I guess that's looser, that's not called kilkul, right? That's not ruining it, right? That's masakein. And since it's masakein, it would not necessarily make it lose its status as a human ring, and therefore it would still be mekabel tumah and masnisatana muchulalim. No, we don't need to say where he smashed out to make more space. Let's talk about a ring where it is very large. There's a bunch of space for the ring to go, and therefore there was loose space anyways, and therefore there is no chatzitza for the water to get it. Fine. Now, Shal Talmud Echad Migalil Ha'elyon. So Talmud asked from the Galil Ha'elyon. So he asked, all right, there it is. So Shal Talmud Echad Migalil Ha'elyon as Rabbi Yezer. So he says, Shamati Shecholkin Ben Tabas Tabas. I heard there's a difference between one ring to another ring. Maybe you only heard this regarding Shabbos, because by Shabbos, right? Is we'll learn later on. There's a difference between a ring which has a signet on it and one that's not. A ring with a signet is considered to be carrying on Shabbos. One without it is not considered to be carrying on Shabbos, midoraisa. So maybe you heard it regarding Shabbos. Regarding Shabbos is differences between different types of rings. Dealing in Tuma, because it's regarding Tuma, it's all the same. So the Gemara says, well, you tell me all rings are the same when it comes to Tuma. Well, tonight we do a mission. Tabas Adam Tmei Tabas, Beim of the Kalim, Shar Kol Tabos, Taurus. What are you talking about? We just said earlier, we just said 5 minutes ago, right? That a human ring is Makabal Tuma, but a ring for an animal or for other vessels or any other type of ring are Torah, they're not Makabal Tuma. The Gemara says, no, Ki Kamarlu, Ihu Nami Da'adam Kamarlu. Right? And no, that which he said, all rings are the same when it comes to Tuma, right, means he was talking about all human rings. All human rings are the same because they're all Makabal Tuma. So the Gemara says, with Adam, Davada, Achasi, and talking about the human rings are all the same. But Tani, we're going to Bryce, Tabas, she's kina gorba mas. Now the kasha ba bank safe of Torah, a ring which is used basically to hold up his pants or use some other, let's say for his or for any other his clothing, right? That is tahira. That's not considered to be makabel tuma. That's not something a person wears. That's something the clothes wears, and therefore it's not makabel tuma. Now, what you say a ring is makabel tuma, a ring can become tame. It's only a ring that's worn on the finger. So there is a difference between tuma when it comes to rings, right? Whether it's used for the clothes or used for their hand. So right? No, even that which is talking about, all rings are the same. He's referring to rings that are worn on the fingers, right? Jewelry. That's what Achasi, and you're talking about all rings of all types of jewelry are all makabel tuma. It's all the same. But tonight we're doing a Mishnah. If you have a ring, right, made of metal or some metallic material, and its signet, right, is made of almog, right, like cedar wood or very expensive wood, that ring is tmeya. However, shall almog v'chayis, if the ring itself was basically made of the cedar wood and the signet itself was metal, tahira, that's tar. So you see over there's a difference between rings, right? So our answer is once again, no, that what he's talking about metallic rings of the finger. All those are the same category. They're all makabel tuma. Fine. So that was one question. So that was half. Now the other part. The old shal. Also, once again, the same Talmud says, okay, Shemati shacholkin bein mechel lemechel. I heard there's a difference between needles. That was this. He said the Rebbe. So I mean, and I don't know what it means. Maybe you heard when it comes to maybe Shabbos, right? Different types of needles on Shabbos in terms of carrying, right? Perhaps some needles that are used for sewing, right? Those needles with the eye and they're properly pointed. Those, since they're usable, that's considered to be carrying. But let's say a woman goes ahead and she wears a pin, right? Something that, not necessarily a usable pin, but a pin that could be considered to be jewelry or something that's worn, and therefore it's not a problem of carrying Shabbos. Once again, we'll get to that later. So now maybe there's a difference when needles when it comes to carrying on Shabbos. However, D-lady and Tuma, Davida Achasi, but when it comes to Tuma, there is no difference. All needles are the same. All, they should do the same halacha. So when it says Aylin and Tuma, Davida Achasi, you're talking about Tuma, they're all the same. I'll try with them in the Mishnah, Mechet Shenitel Choyra. A needle, right, that you remove from it its sharpness or its ability to be used. Perhaps the eye was taken out, or it's dull and it can't be used. It's now tahira. It's not a usable needle anymore. It's not usable, functioning utensil. Therefore, it's considered to be tahor. So what do you mean? So obviously there is a difference between needles. One that's functional, one's not. So can't relate. Also, b'shleima. Now we're talking about a full needle, a usable needle. Even if it's usable, it's all one. Right? If you have a needle, right, that all of a sudden became rusty, and if it prevents it from being used anymore, it's tahira. If it's not, it's tamei, then it's tamei. It can still, not only does it have to be usable, but it still has to be recognizable as a needle. So if it's still recognizable needle, then it's considered to be tamei. But if it can no longer be used or it's rusted out, then it's tar. So obviously there's a difference between needles. So how could you say that all needles are the same? He says, no. Ki kamarle, b'shifa kamarle, right? He's talking about like a nice polished needle. I heard all polished needles are the same when it comes to tuma. They're all tamei. Says I was Shifa David Acha. So you tell me that even the Palash all the same. But time of the Brisa Mecha Beinekuva Beinekuva Mutzul Talta Shabbos. So a needle, right? Whether it has a hole in it, right? The eye they used to to put the thread through it in order to hold it, right? So that whether there's a hole or there's no hole, it's mutter to talta to move it on Shabbos, right? However, v'loyamrina nekuva, and the only reason why it says whether there's iron in it is tuma bilvad is only to say regarding tuma. So regarding tuma, if there's an eye, then it's considered to be a kli, and then it's tamei. If there's no eye in the needle, then it's tor. It's it's not considered to be a usable functioning keli. So answer is no. So no. Over here, as they explain later on, right? The Abai explains later on that is according to Rava the Galmi. So he says over here that we're talking about something that was not finished and something not finished. So in such a case, right, where the needle wasn't finished, and perhaps then we say over there that that these needles are all mekabel. No, if it's unfinished, then it would not be mekabel tumah because then they still have to go ahead and finish the needle. But if a needle was finished, then all would agree that it is mekabel tumah, and if it's a usable needle. And that was the case where he said that I heard that all needles are the same because they're all tmeas, only referring to one that was finished. Or we'll stop here at the Mishnah. Well, I guess we'll just do the Mishnah tomorrow when we start the Gemara. So everyone should have a wonderful day and stay safe out there.
Yeah, sure.
Ah, bye.